Hey guys, welcome back. Well, you know the drill, make sure to like and subscribe if you want anyway. Disclaimer. There may be mature content and maybe 18 plus content, and I don't own this story. With that stuff out of the way, let's begin chapter 20. The will of the Ditsunade's thoughts. Naruto watched the ball of swirling chakra form in the center of his hand. Damn it, he cursed as the ball shrunk into inexistence. Chakra control, Naruto grumbled. Chakra control is always my worst point. He thought back to the pale dead looking clones. Well, this uses more chakra, so that's not the problem. Jiraiya was 50 feet in front of Naruto looking down at a map, and roared, "We're here Tanzaku, one of the largest gambling villages on this side of the fire country. If Tsunade isn't here, then I don't know where she would be." Across the town drinking heavily was a blonde woman with long hair held in two large ponytails. Her long yellow bangs framed her face as she drank. She had pale white skin and light brown eyes. She was wearing a skin-tight royal blue pants. She wore a dark gray muscle shirt with a royal blue sash wrapped tightly around her belly. The blouse left ample cleavage, but none of the men in the bar dared go close to the lest they suffer the fate of a man lying in the street twitching. Hanging on the woman's back was a grass-green jacket with a kanji that meant gamble on the back. Hanging in between her breast on a long black string was a dark green jewel with two silver beads on either side of the jewel dot. Tsunade-sama, please, we should return to Konoha. What if it's true that the rubber abilities have returned? The boy will want to know about his heritage. A dark-haired woman wearing a near black, but still noticeably purple kimono, with a lavender sash around her waist. No, Shizune, the rumors can be true. It's probably a person with the soft physique that sensei is hoping will trick me into returning. Tsunade slurred slightly. But what if it isn't? Shizune begged. Naruto and Jiraiya were walking down the main street, showing the picture they had of Tsunade to any civilian if they seen the woman. Yeah, she put my buddy in the hospital when he asked her for a favor. And by favor you mean? Jiraiya replied knowingly. She's in the bar down 2 blocks and turned left. The man stuttered and ran away. Naruto grinned as the moonlight shined on his back. Come on, we get the old bat and be back in Konoha in 2 days, Naruto exclaimed, running down the street. Tsunade and Shizune sat in their booth. Shizune was eating slowly. Watching Tsunade pour herself another glass of sake, Shizune turned as a young man forced his way into the bar past the bouncer. He was wearing a dark yellow vest and a bright orange shorts, but that wasn't what attracted the two women's attention. On his head was a worn-out straw hat, with a fairly new-looking headband tied around the bowl of the cap. The ornamental leaf seemed to glint in the light. "Hey grandma," the boy screamed, pointing directly at Tsunade. "Yeah, what do you want, brat?" The teenager walked towards the two women. The entire bar was quiet. "You coming back to Konoha with me?" the boy told her calmly. "You know who I am, correct?" the woman stated coldly. The two locked eyes. Shizune could see a tuft of blonde underneath the hat. "Yeah, your Tsunade senju, the last senju," he stated. "But what matters is my wife and fiancé need you to heal them," Naruto replied. "The LPA, so what's your bloodline?" Shizune questioned the fearless blonde. Gum, he told her. Tsunade's eyes filled with hate. "Really, did you hear that?" Shizune began, but was cut off when Tsunade jumped and slammed her fist into Naruto's jaw. Naruto flew across the bar, but his fellow blonde just looked down at her fists. "It can't be," she mumbled. Naruto pulled himself free from the wall. Tsunade had embedded him. "What's your problem?" he bellowed at the woman. The bar patrons all began to slowly go towards the door. "What's your name?" Tsunade is dropping her jacket. "My name is Uzumaki." "Naruto, don't!" Jiraiya hollered as he ran into the bar. "D Naruto," he continued proudly. Jiraiya could feel the rage building in his former classmate and teammate. "Jiraiya, why would you bring this idiot who calls himself a D with you?" She snapped, her fists clenched in unsuppressed rage. "What did you think, that I would come running back when I learned that this boy has the powers of Monkey D. Luffy?" she roared at her teammate. "You're not a D kid and you should be happy about." Naruto walked forwards yelling, "I am a D. I am Monkey D. Luffy's successor." His fist clenched. "One day I'll marry my first love, and after that I'll be Hokage." Tsunade gave a cold laugh. "Not only does he call himself a D, but he also wants to be Hokage. This kid's is the biggest dumbass I ever met." Tsunade-sama, Shizune mumbled sadly. "Only a fool wants to be Hokage." Naruto slammed his fists together. "Does the truth hurt, boy? Here, look at where being Hokage got those people dead, just like every other person who wants that cursed position." Second, Tsunade watched his skin begin to glow. Gum, Jiraiya looked at between the two. "There's a reason why I'm the last senju, and that because I turned my back on the will of fire, or will of the deep." Tsunade ranted, her eyes filled with pure, not hidden in the slightest hate for her fellow blonde. "Macrap, it fired!" Tsunade dove to the side, dragging Shizune with her when Naruto disappeared. The wall of the ball completely disintegrated. "You spit on the name of the Hokages. You spit on the name of Monkey D. Luffy," he roared, grabbing the shocked woman's right ankle and flung out into the street. "I won't let you." The old man gave his life for something. He believed every Hokage died for something, and you dare spite them by talking ill about their sacrifice. His eyes shifted dangerously from the bright blue to blood red. Tsunade pushed herself off the ground. You know nothing. I watched as my family dwindled. I watched the people I love die. While the Onizuka, the Hyuga, the Yamanaka all grew and prospered, Naruto disappeared again. Just as he was about to hit her, Tsunade swung a powerful right hook, sending him rolling into the wall. Why is that? Because of the will of the deep, because of the will that you so proudly use. My family died because of their inability to fall back to run from enemies, even if they knew they couldn't win. Maki raised his arms and yelled, "Cannon!" Tsunade felt the fist buried in her gut before she was sent flying down the street. How many lives did your family save though? How many people are alive today because of them? And you disrespect that by spitting on your family's will. Tsunade hacked their dead, it doesn't matter. Naruto ground his teeth and began swishing his hand quickly. Naruto paid no attention to the swirling white ball forming in his hand as he swung his left hand wildly. That's not normal, the Sannin thought as Naruto stopped moving his hand. He turned and grinned at Tsunade Rasengan, he hollered running at her. Tsunade reacted quickly, slammed her fist into the ground. The entire street crumbled underneath the force of the fist. Naruto stumbled on the rapidly shattering ground before falling. The white ball slammed into the ground and immediately exploded even incomplete. She eyed the large crater Naruto created. It hit me, she thought. Jiraiya, you taught this kid the Rasengan, she screamed at the man walking into the wreckage. What's the point of teaching him a jutsu he'll never master? Naruto stumbled to his feet, the gear second faded away. You want to bet? He exclaimed. Tsunade looked at Naruto standing, the straw hat was laying on the ground beside him. Okay fine, what is it? They say I can't master the Rasengan, I bet you I can back to Konoha and take the position of Hokage and heal my girls, he told her. Fine, but if you lose you leave here and never coming looking for me again, and admit that the will of fire is just a useless ideal. I'll never say, Naruto countered loudly. Fine, I'll sweeten the deal. She tugged at the necklace. This was the first Hokage's necklace. If you can master that jutsu and I don't, she smiled. A week. If you can master the Rasengan in a week, I'll admit that you're a true D and powerful enough to be Hokage. And I'll even come back to Konoha with you, she explained. Naruto's face broke into a large smile. You have yourself a deal. He turned away from picking up and dusting off the straw hat as he walked away. Just as he passed Shizune and Jiraiya, he stopped. I will be Hokage, I promise you that. I'll show you that not every dies in their quest to become it, he called out. Tsunade watched Naruto walk away. She could see the ghosts from her past walking with him. She whipped around and walked in the opposite direction. I will be Hokage rang through her mind in three very distinct voices. Tsunade Sama, Shizune yelled loudly. Stay Shizune, Tsunade ordered coldly. Tsunade woke for hours. The night wind chilled her. She was about to return to her hotel when a voice said calmly, I take it, you met the rubber kid calling himself a D. Orochimaru, Tsunade hissed, spinning on her heel. Standing beside the snake man was a man wearing a suit with a dark hood attached to it. I have a proposition for you, Tsunade. Across the small village, Naruto was standing in the middle of the paddock, a swirling mass of chakra in his right hand. You know Tsunade-sama doesn't hate you, right? Naruto jumped at the proclamation. Naruto watched the women walk into the paddock. Hi, he greeted simply. Shizune sat down and patted the ground. I want to explain to you why Tsunade-sama acted the way she did. She smiled kindly at the young straw hat sitting beside her. First, you bear a striking resemblance to Tsunade-sama little brother Nawaki. And your beliefs are very similar to her lover Dan's, she explained calmly. How even Nawaki acted similar to you. Then why did she attack me? Naruto asked. She hurt him constantly, she never let go of their death. Naruto sighed loudly and nodded, before grabbing her shoulder and grinning in her face. I'll show her, I give her faith back. I'll show her that not every deed dies in battle. Chapter 21. Naruto vs. Kuro. Naruto began swishing his hand over and over again. 4 days had passed since he made his deal with Tsunade, but Naruto had not gotten any further in creating a perfect Rasengan. Sweat was pouring down his brow. Naruto looked at the straw hat hanging on a tree branch before starting creating the ball of dark blue chakra. A faint whirring sound echoed through the paddock. Naruto grinned broadly as the ball solidified. I'm coming, Grandma, he hollered. He stretched his arm across the paddock and grabbed his hat. Shizune was sitting. Tsunade had not left the hotel since her walk after her fight with Naruto. It took Tsunade 3 days to explain why. You know he can't bring them back. Tsunade looked at her apprentice. He might be able to reanimate their bodies, but it won't be them, they'll just be a shell. Tsunade looked at the clock on the wall, before standing up. Shizune looked at her teacher. Tsunade sighed. I'm sorry, Shizune gasped when Tsunade tapped her forehead. She walked out of the hotel room, casting one sidelong glance at her unconscious apprentice. She walked out of the hotel when she heard Naruto's voice call out, Hey Grandma, check the suit. Tsunade slammed her fist into Naruto's face, sending him rocketing backwards. She watched Naruto fly down the back alley, and walked away from the prone figure lying in the trash. She jumped up, bouncing up the side of the building. Naruto twitched once before jumping onto his feet. He watched the blonde disappear over the building. Naruto chased after the woman. Jiraiya knocked a third time on the door. He heard Shizune groan loudly. He gave a perverse giggle and knocked again. Shizune, he called out. Another groan was her reply. Jiraiya knocked again. The door opened. The tired-looking Shizune, what happened? Tsunade-sama, she felt her mind catch up with itself and exclaimed, she went to meet Orochimaru, she's going to heal his hands. 10 blocks away on a street with a castle built on his left and houses built on his right, Naruto caught up with Tsunade. She had a baby blue egg in between her hands and Naruto instantly recognized Orochimaru. He was moving his hands towards the blue egg. Naruto knew immediately what was happening. Tsunade don't. The two Sannin stopped their movements. Naruto smashed his fists together and aimed his fist at Tsunade. I don't want to do this, Tsunade-chan, he bellowed. She glared at Naruto and screamed, I have to do this. I have to bring back Naoki and Dan. Naruto looked at Orochimaru, giving him a sadistic smile. If they were anything like me, then selling your soul to the devil is not what they would want, he countered. Please, Tsunade-chan. Tears began to drip down Tsunade's cheeks. Please listen to me, this is not what they would want. They would want you to let them go, find new precious people you want to protect. Suddenly Orochimaru's henchman rocketed towards Naruto with a near-mute stealth walk. Naruto's fist blasted forward, sending the man sliding 10 feet away from Orochimaru and Tsunade. When I use this power, it's more than just my body that gets a boost. I'm able to see things, it's like everything's moving in slow motion. That little jutsu won't work on me this time, he yelled at the hooded man, the sizzling never stopping. Tsunade-chan, let them go, you've wasted so many years grieving. His attention never left the hooded figure. You're better than this. Naruto suddenly dropped his hands and let the gear second fall. I trust you with my life. Her eyes went wide. The statement. Stealth walk, she heard. She swung her arm out and clotheslined the man. Spinning on her left heel, she brought her right foot up above her head. Orochimaru bounced back, barely avoiding the powerful kick. His green coat fell from her back as she rushed to the two sound ninja. Naruto smiled brightly. You're right, Naruto, I wasted years of my life. Naoki and Dan, it's time I let you to go. Tears dripped down the woman's face. Senju D. Naoki. Dan Kato, she looked up at Orochimaru. His accomplice had managed to evade her foot, but was still holding his neck and chest from the two blondes' respective moves. Uzumaki D. Naruto, why do you care so much about what I do? Naruto looked at her thoughtfully. I don't know, I guess I just don't like it when people are in pain, he turned. But these two, I will break every bone in their body before ending them. Now Naruto-kun, that's not nice. And Tsunade, I thought we had a deal. The two blondes eyed Tatu tentatively. Let's go, Kabuto. Orochimaru kneeled back just in time, dodged a kick from Tsunade when Naruto appeared above the two. Double-stamped. Tsunade grinned when the feet rocketed at the two. Two jumped to the branch in unison. The branch they were on exploded in a shower of wood chips. Got to be careful with these two, especially if Naruto-kun decides to gear second again. Yes, he's already super strong and pretty fast. We don't need him moving any faster and being any stronger. They bounced back when Tsunade's heel dropped into the ground, creating a large crater. Amazing that after all these years, the two backflipped onto a large stone wall, avoiding Naruto's rapid fire. Tsunade hasn't lost any of her strength. Suddenly the stone wall they were one explode. Won't be good if they ever connect. Yes, the man grunted, dodging a left hook from Naruto and jumping over a gum spear. He punched Naruto's gut, sending him falling into the destroyed street below. Naruto grinned at the taller blonde woman. This is not where I would want to fight these two, it's too enclosed. Change of scenery, then Kabuto. Kabuto, Naruto mumbled lowly. Where have I heard that name before? The hooded man laughed. You really don't know, do you? He dropped his hood, revealing the light purple hair and wire-rimmed glasses. You, Naruto pointed at him. You betrayed Konoha. Now Naruto, can you betray a village you were never loyal? The man replied. Killer intent leaked out of his body. Naruto slammed his fists together. Orochimaru laughed at Naruto. I believe you knew Itachi Uchiha. Naruto's skin started steaming. Yes, well, how he destroyed his clan is nothing to Kabuto's story. Oh yeah, and what did he do? He killed his entire family and a squad of Anbu in 5 minutes, Tsunade gasped loudly. He was the only survivor of Kikyu Pass because it was him. Tsunade clenched his fist. Her knuckles popped loudly. His family was known for their unique ability in the stealth walk. But he is the only true master of the technique. The two watched a dark blue coating of chakra form his hands, before taking the form a 10-inch claw on either hands. You know, Naruto, my family knows about Monkey D. Luffy. The disgrace he gave the first man to use the stealth walk. Both blondes remained rooted to the spot, but after today that disgrace will be erased. Naruto disappeared. Both sound nin dove backwards. That won't work. Only the distraction. Suddenly they whipped to their dodging a haymaker swing by Tsunade. As they landed they began swerving wildly, dodging the flurry of moves by the two. The four disappeared into the field. 10 minutes passed when the two ninja walked up to the destroyed street. Looks like he got Tsunade mad. He then stopped and looked at a tree branch. Well, what wasn't destroyed? He then turned to the opposite side of the street. A wall was completely destroyed, but on a segment that held slightly was a clearly circular hole. The kids with her, he mumbled. Tsunade did a flying kick at Kabuto, who did a backhand spring over a large boulder. Stamp, Naruto hollered. Kabuto landed as the boulder was decimated by Tsunade, and dove to the right, managing to just dodge the kick. Naruto and Tsunade stood beside one another. Tsunade was sucking in short, controlled gasp. Orochimaru chuckled. You reignited her will, he pointed at Naruto. The last fruity, and a false D standing side by side. This rich Kabuto was breathing heavily, as the two seemed to want to destroy him. Kabuto, I believe this is open enough. Do it, Orochimaru commanded. Yes, he went through 3 quick hand signs. Before letting his now hands drop to his side, his hand were once again encased in dark blue chakra, which soon enough formed a claw over his hands. Goodbye Senjuti. Tsunade disappeared. It whipped around crazily as the ground and boulders were cleaved deeply by an invisible force. Damn it, the body shimmer is making it impossible to see him, Tsunade cursed. Naruto's head snapped back and forth as the claw marks formed around them. He whipped to his side just in time to see Tsunade get slashed in the shoulder. No blood, she mumbled, looking straight into Naruto's eyes. Terror filled her when she shakily looked down and screamed blood. Tsunade-chan, what's he gasped when the invisible claws slashed straight up his back, leaving 4-centimeter deep wounds up his back. He felt his cheek get slashed open, and then get the large scar across his chest getting reopened. Naruto crashed into the ground. Tsunade was whimpering pitifully at the sight of the blood. Naruto. It's over, Naruto, Kabuto said as he reappeared in front of Orochimaru. Just leave her and I'll let you leave. Naruto chuckled and slowly began getting to his feet, his wounds rapidly shrinking. And why would I believe you, traitor? Naruto roared with a large smile. You should have ran, Naruto, you die here today. Kabuto disappeared. Across the large gap Naruto's chest was cleaved. He stumbled back 2 steps. And immediately felt the claw slash his shoulder blade. Tsunade cried as the invisible claws slashed Naruto across his chest and back. Naruto fell onto his back, his straw hat rolled into Tsunade. Naruto, run, you don't have to fight him, she screamed at him. Naruto's hand shakily picked up the straw hat. He spun on his finger before dropping onto Tsunade's head. Keep it safe for me, he mumbled as he got back to his feet. Immediately a claw slash went across his chest. Kabuto glared, reappeared again. His cold eyes never left Naruto. The wild-haired teen, his fingers towards his body. Kabuto laughed. You're in such a rush to die. Naruto crossed his fingers, and a single clone appeared beside Naruto. The clone won't help you, Naruto. Kabuto roared and disappeared. In a blink of an eye, Naruto felt the 4 blades being impaled in his chest. You're an idiot. Naruto swung his hand into the clone's chest, grabbing Kabuto's wrist. The clone started driving his hand over Naruto's. Blood poured out of the chest wound. You're about to see my new jutsu, Rasengan. The clone stopped as the ball of chakra formed. No, that's impossible, not from a child, Orochimaru hissed. Naruto slammed the ball straight into Kabuto's chest. That's not possible, Tsunade gasped. Jiraiya and Shizune watched in awe as they ran to the scene. The ball of pure chakra overtook Kabuto. Naruto released his grip on Kabuto, and the ball began rolling away, the outline of Kabuto visible in the swirling mass. Naruto stood, his lips wobbled as the blood poured from the shrinking wounds. I told you I would win, Naruto hacked. Orochimaru ran at Naruto, spiting a thick blade out of his mouth. Naruto. Shizune and Jiraiya hollered. Tsunade watched her former teammate close in on Naruto. She could feel the blood on her arm. She shuddered and jumped up. You're not killing him, she yelled. Naruto felt the woman run by him. She intercepted the snake man with a punch, sending him flying back. Naruto fell onto his back. Shizune helped Naruto, she ordered, cracking her knuckles and putting her hands together. Tsunade-sama, are you going to use that jutsu? Shizune gasped. Tsunade ignored her apprentice. Jiraiya hauled him off. The white-haired man nodded, ran at Orochimaru. The deep gold ring slowly started come into existence around Tsunade. Shizune watched her mentor as the ring continued to form. Hey Orochimaru, did you know Nawaki was a genius that put even you to shame? She yelled, her eyes still closed. Yeah, he was a 1 in a million genius. The ring completely formed around her. You're about to see the last thing he ever worked on. The thing I perfected. The ring began climbing up her body, creating a large cylinder around her. What jutsu is that? He snapped, avoiding the punches. Shizune watched worriedly. Her hands were glowing green. She was healing the large gashes that marked Naruto's entire body. You'll see, she screamed as the gold cylinder flashed one blinding yellow light. Tsunade flew out of the golden energy. What jutsu did just? Orochimaru hacked when the fist connected with his belly. You shouldn't be that fast, he coughed before being sent flying 100 feet. Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto gasped. Tsunade smirked. You're facing Tsunade, but one in her prime, she stated before rushing at Orochimaru. How? Orochimaru felt her foot crush his ribs. Tsunade laughed. The Waki's last thought. I did it for him. She looked down at her hand. A small, nearly translucent bubble formed. Orochimaru noticed Tsunade's hair was streaked with pink. It's a jutsu that takes years to build up, 10 years. In fact, the bubble up, and she finished. My body started building up and locking away the tiny amount of DNA I share with Monkey D. Luffy's wife, building it up bit by bit. Orochimaru and Jiraiya looked at her in utter shock. From there I would split it up even more, literally growing a devil fruit in my body. They noticed now that her clothes were loose on her, as she tightened the blue waist strap, never taking the straw hat off. I am literally the child of Bonnie Jewelry now. She roared loudly. He perfected. Orochimaru stood up, watching the woman turn teen walk towards him. What you wanted from Nawaki, the reason he died. She bounced to a run. She delivered 2 powerful punches to his gut. This is what you wanted, right? She screamed, with a powerful bone-shaking uppercut. Naruto's eyes popped open as he heard Orochimaru crash into the ground. Answer me. She screamed. I know you let him die that day. Punched him into the ground, shaking every boulder around her. Is this how you let go? Tsunade stopped mid-swing at the loud voice. Shizune was attempting to pull the young man down, but he held up. His wild blonde hair blew in the wind. Answer me. He commanded loud enough to shake everyone around him to the core. Tsunade looked down at the bloody face of Orochimaru and countered, he's evil and deserves to die. Naruto stumbled forward. Once again Shizune tried to grab him, but he continued on his path. Orochimaru smirked the moment of distraction. His long sword flew out of his mouth and rocketed towards Tsunade's throat. Tsunade. Jiraiya bellowed. Orochimaru flew in one direction, and Tsunade flew towards Shizune. Gear second, Naruto said as he appeared where the two once were. Blood dripped from the still half-open wounds. That is not letting go. His arms exploded, sending Orochimaru even further. Cried Tsunade. Blood continued from the wound-riddled chest. Put them away, but don't forget them. Orochimaru got up and slashed at Naruto with the sword in his mouth. They help shape you, but they don't make you. Naruto's head snapped to the left. The long sword sliced into his cheek. Orochimaru laughed in his face. How is sacrificing yourself going to prove anything, boy? He hissed. I'm not dying today, he roared. Swing a flurry of fist. Orochimaru parried left and right as the fist flew. They're gone, but you can always treasure the memories just as I treasure the memories in that hat. The blade sliced through his left side. Naruto. Jiraiya hollered and moved towards the two. Double Mach Cannon. Orochimaru dodged a fast-moving punch, but Jiraiya was unsuspecting and was blown back. Shizune. Shizune looked up at the bleeding teen. Remember when you told me about Nawaki? And Dan. Tsunade looked in shock at her apprentice. You don't have to bear the burden alone, Naruto roared, throwing his arms into the air, letting them stretch. What's he talking about, Shizune? Tsunade asked. I'll bear it with you. He brought his fist down on Orochimaru. Gum hammer. The earth exploded from the failed attack. If you want to go into the darkness, you'll have to drag me with you, Tsunade. He proclaimed loudly. He turned and grinned brightly at her. A faint blush peppered the woman-turned teen's cheeks. Orochimaru, you killed the old man. Naruto turned. The gear seconds still hadn't faded from his body. Idiot, you can't beat a Sannin no matter how freakish your ability to take a hit is, Kabuto coughed. Shut up. Naruto flew forward. Orochimaru stayed rooted to the spot. Orochimaru swung the blade downwards. Naruto grinned and charged, impaling himself on the sword. I'll show you all what the six Hokage is capable of. He started driving his hand over his hand. Orochimaru's eyes went white as plates. He stabbed himself, so he could. The thought was cut off by a loud Rasengan. Orochimaru jumped away, tearing the blade jaggedly from middle Naruto's chest. Naruto swung the ball, barely missing the man's chest. Naruto drove the Rasengan into the ground, sending a large cloud of dust into the air. Tsunade's hands shook as she watched the glowing outline of Naruto. You'll give me your strength, Tsunade, she heard Naruto roar loudly. You're precious to me. Tears continued down her face. You're precious too. Shizune, to Jiraiya. Sakura-chan looks up to you. You have people left. Naruto, she mumbled as the dust fell. Orochimaru ground his teeth. You clearly aren't in the giving mood today, Tsunade. He began to slowly sink into his own shadow. Rubber brat, next time we meet I'll make sure to kill you. Kabuto was doing the same. Goodbye, my old friends. Everything remained still for 20 seconds after the snake had disappeared into the ground. The cut, gashed and stab-riddled body of Naruto was slowly healing when Naruto's legs suddenly gave out. Naruto, Tsunade exclaimed, and caught him mid-fall. She caught with a smile. Her tears continued to fall. You little retard, she mumbled. Naruto looked at her and smiled. The pain, it's out of your eyes, he mumbled weakly. That's good, he said before his eyes closed. Tsunade hugged Naruto one more time. She thought, I'll give my heart one more time. She slowly took the straw hat off her head and placed on Naruto's, along with the emerald necklace. Please, Naruto, keep it safe. Held it tight, she kissed his forehead, shocking the two watching and hopefully mended. Naruto, Tsunade, Jiraiya and Shizune were walking down the familiar path that led back to Konoha. Naruto was talking excitedly the entire time. You'll meet my other sensei guy, and his student lead. They're a little bit strange, but I'm made of rubber, so I have room to talk. He tugged at the necklace he now used as a neck strap. Kurenai-chan and Shino and Hinata, they're awesome. And Haku-chan, the green jewel glinted on its new owner. Sakura-chan will flip when she meets you. She says she'll be a better kunoichi than you, he told her boldly. Of course she'll be better than you one day, he said confidently. Tsunade laughed at her hyper-blonde companion. His entire body was completely covered in bandages, not really excited about explaining what happened to Hancock-chan and Taiya-chan, though he shuddered slightly. Well, Kurenai-chan too. Oh, and Haku, he mumbled. Tsunade laughed at her Naruto's expense. Well, Naruto-kun, you shouldn't be an idiot. I mean, really taking on a Sannin well injured, Naruto grumbled when the woman kneeled down and kissed his cheek. Little idiot. Jiraiya ground his teeth and let out a mute lucky brat. So why can't you change back to your normal age? Naruto stuttered. Unlike my predecessor, my fruit power is heavily diluted. I gained only half of the ability, so it's a one-way trip, she explained. So you're immortal, Naruto summarized. No, she replied simply before going into depth. Every time I turn the clock backwards, it's like hitting a fast forward when moving forward. This time it should be perfect, but if I ever change again, I'll age faster and fast, until I need to continuously revert myself if I want to live. Konoha. The council was talking amongst themselves. Haku was sitting in front of them alongside Hinata. That boy doesn't need her. Why can't we just destroy the document? A civilian council member roared. Some of the lesser clans nodded in agreement. Danzo looked at the council. He noticed two clan heads looked at disdain at the vultures vying for the young ice user. Those two were the dog users clan Hatsum Minizuka and Hiyashi Hyuga. Since when does a clan meeting take place with no Hokage present? Tsum roared, instantly silencing the smaller clan heads. When deathly silent, especially concerning the young alpha's mate, she added, sending a threatening glance around the table. Haku remained still under the challenging eyes of Tsum. Hinata remained silent. Everyone watched the older women walk towards the two. Hiyashi watched Tsum with interest. Danzo's cold eye watched the woman. Tsum lifted Hinata. You lack the fire needed. Suddenly a needle pressed into the side of her neck. She didn't even attempt to defend her family. Hinata looked down at the disappointment that poured out of Tsum. I'm leaving. She grabbed Haku by the shoulder, and the two women left the room. Danzo was crushing the armrest in his hand. This straw hatty armrest crunched loudly is going to be a nuisance. Tsum dropped Hinata. Don't use the alpha as a crutch. Show him your strength. Haku was rubbing Hinata's shoulder. Make him realize you. Tsum turned her back on the two. Because if you don't, you'll be lost in the cracks. Hinata felt a tremor of terror pass through her spine. She could see the slight nod of agreement that Haku gave. If you wish to show Naruto, I can have my daughter help you with your. She looked at Hinata confidence issues. She'll help you unleash your animal side. Tsum walked down the street towards her compound. Haku smiled weakly. I'll see you at home. Hinata-chan. Haku rubbed her shoulder one last time before walking away. Hinata walked in the opposite direction. Hinata could feel the tears come to her eyes. She's right, I'm weak. With Kurenai-sensei, Teiaya, Anko-chan, and Haku-chan, what are the chances that Naruto will ever recognize me? Daughter, she froze mid-step. Hiyashi was standing 5 feet away. Do not wallow in self-pity, it's on the coming of a Hyuga. Hinata ground her teeth. Why do care, father? You gave me away like I was nothing. She felt the tears begin to drip down her cheeks. Of course you have, Hinata. I chose Naruto for a reason, he cut off. You what? Hinata gasped. You had somebody who cared about, who would do anything for you. Hanabi only has our clan, that's why I did what I did. She looked at her father in clear shock. I knew if I forced Naruto's hand he would do what he did before his fight with Niji. I knew the boy's stubborn nature would make it impossible for him to lose. Hiyashi kneeled down and hugged Hinata. I did what I did because you're my daughter, and it was the only way I could stop the elders from forcing the seal on your head. Father, she whispered. I'm sorry, Hinata, I know I forced you, but I could see the potential you held. I think I might have ruined you, though Hiyashi could see something light up in his daughter's white eyes. Hinata whipped around, and with all the confidence she could muster, she started away from her father, leaving the Hyuga with the closest thing he had to a smile since Minato. He maybe you look you. His mind went to loud blonde screaming mock rapid fire. The smile tugged a bit more, but he's clearly Kushina's son. He watched Hinata turn the corner. Hopefully that's what she needs. Hinata could feel her confidence fading the closer she got to the compound. She could see the clan's symbol along the large stone wall. Just as he was about to walk into the compound when she heard, well mother, you were right, she wants to be better than before. She looked up. Sitting on the top of the stone wall was Hana Izuka wearing short shorts and a chunin vest that showed her ample cleavage. Hinata blushed slightly. Well Hinata, what do you want? I want to change, she replied. But that's the first step, Hana said. We make the alpha realize you. Hinata smiled slightly. I promise you that. Naruto. The 2-day return trip to Konoha was quick. Naruto bounded into the village. Just as he stepped foot in the two, a thick brown rope bound his right foot, and he found himself flying into Sakura. Naruto roared, landing with a loud crash. Oh my, I'm sorry, Naruto. Sakura gasped loudly. She nearly fell onto her knees at the wave of killer intent coming from somewhere below her. No problem, Sakura-chan, but why did you do that? Naruto asked, rubbing his shoulders. Oh Konohamaru, he put the eye in the bathhouse, and well, he's still dressing like me, Naruto bellowed. He punched his open hand. That little, I'm going to kill him, Naruto grumbled. Naruto, are you okay? He looked back at Tsunade standing on the side of the building he landed on. Oh yeah, Tsunade-chan, fine. He swung his arms quickly. Tsunade, as in Tsunade Senju. Sakura gasped loudly as the woman ran her glowing hands over Naruto. Naruto laughed loudly. Yeah, Sakura-chan, he pointed at the women's sign. Hey, be ready, princess, Naruto warned. Sakura-chan says she'll. Naruto, you idiot. Sakura screamed. She sent. Tsunade's one of the greatest kunoichi a village ever produced. Doesn't matter, Sakura-chan, you'll be better than. She sent a flurry of ropes into Naruto's ribs, sending him flying off the roof. They all heard Naruto crash into the ground and yell, Sakura, what the hell? It's your dream, isn't it? Of course, but that's like you challenging Kakashi-sensei to a fight. I'm not ready. She countered loudly. The two bellowed back and forth, going red-faced for 5 minutes when they heard Naruto-kan, didn't you want me to heal? Before Tsunade knew what was happening, Naruto picked her up bridal style and was running down the street. Right, I forgot, he exclaimed. Yurei was shaking his head as the two disappeared from view. How can that brat be so? Naruto. Sakura supplied, watching where the two disappeared from with a faint smile. Itachi hollered into the heavens. How does the kid do it? Naruto slid into the hospital and continued running through the halls. He could see doctors pointing at him as he ran up the stairs as his energy endless as Tsunade thought before going pink at the implications. Damn control. She felt Naruto tighten his grip on her ground, her teeth screwed. Naruto opened the door without even slowing down. Wifey-chan, Flute-chan, he said joyously. Both lit up as he dropped the blonde woman onto her feet. Senjuji Tsunade, he told them happily. Tsunade looked at the red-haired and purple-haired women. They both were glaring at Naruto. What happened? Taiya asked sweetly. Well, funny story. Naruto stumbled back and slowly made his way towards the door. Extremely funny actually. He opened the door with his hand nervously. He slid halfway out the door and said quickly, "Fought the snake bastard well injured by." And before the two could comprehend what he said, Naruto was out of the hospital running away. You what the screamed when their mind caught up what he said. Kurigakur. They sighed. She was sitting in a dank cell. Her red hair hung loosely. How much longer? She mumbled lowly. Her mind went to her grinning blonde lover. Naruto, one more day, that's all I want. All I want is one more day with you, my love. She got up weakly and looked at her village. It looked completely calm, but she knew better than to believe it. She looked down and could clearly see the prison ship she was on, along with a series of large guards with large guns. Naruto, one more day, she said before falling onto her butt. Zabuza limped into the hidden leaf village. The sunlight shone tauntingly on his back. He could hear the villagers staring at him. Chijuro on his back, their weapons on his hands. He heard a familiar voice call out Zabuza-sama. He fell onto his belly and groaned loudly. Haku, take me to the Hokage, he mumbled weakly. No, Zabuza-sama, I'm taking you to the hospital. Haku snapped firmly. She hefted the large man and Teen onto her back, shocking the villagers. She looked at her traveling companion Taiya. Go get Tsunade-sama. I'm pretty sure she's watching the team's train. Gum rapid fire. Shikamaru dove to the left. The boulder behind him shattered and blew up. Hey, what was that? Are you trying to kill me? Shikamaru screamed from the bushes. You don't train enough, Naruto countered. Yes, my youthful rival is correct, Lee hollered in agreement. I have an idea to help you get stronger, Naruto exclaimed. The Jonin sensei and newly appointed Hokage watched. Oh crap, Kurenai mumbled. Please don't let it be something stupid. Naruto appeared behind Kurenai. Look, see, he grabbed the bottom of her heel. See, I can lift Kurenai with one arm. Kurenai screamed at Naruto. Put me down, you little idiot. Naruto disappeared again, and this time he appeared behind Ino. Now he knows about half. Naruto, don't you dare. Ino sent a threatening glare at the blonde. Kurenai's sigh, so Shikamaru threw his arms. Naruto, there's no way I can. Naruto continued to ignore the two. You should be able to hold her with ease. Naruto grabbed Ino's heels and threw 7 feet up and towards Shikamaru. You idiot, the two screamed loudly. The two slammed into each other and crashed into the ground. Did you really think that would war? Sakura was cut off by Naruto lifting up. Lee, I challenged 50 laps around the village. I'll even carry Sakura. Come on, Shikamaru. Put me down, Naruto. Sakura screamed as Naruto rocketed out of the training ground. Lee, what do you Tenten? And Lee disappeared from the training ground. There's no way I'll let my eternal rival beat me, Lee screamed and raced after Naruto. They're insane, Ino and Shikamaru muttered. Yes, my youthful students, you have found out a brand new training, the hot guy shouted loudly. What the hell? Kurenai screamed as the man lifted her and disappeared out of the training ground. Tsunade sighed loudly. So that's what Naruto meant when he said they were strange. Naruto, what are you doing? Shikamaru snapped loudly. The clone was lifting up the two. He then placed Ino on Shikamaru's back and dragged him out of the training ground. Asuma puffed a cloud of smoke. Well, that was Asuma thought for a second. Interesting. Taiya rushed into the training ground and looked at the single member of Team 7, Team 8, Team 10 and Team Guy. They had their jaws on the floor pointing at the place. Naruto and the others ran out. I take Naruto-kun did something. Shino nodded with his usual stoic expression. Taiya mumbled lowly and then yelled, oh yeah, Tsunade-sama, Haku needs you at the hospital. Why? Some gray guy with no eyebrows came into the town, and he looked at her. Taiya got a thoughtful look, and said, I think she called him Zabuza. Tsunade instantly recognized the name, the demon of the mist. She rushed out of the training ground. Naruto, Lee and Guy rocketed down the street, the females they carried yelling at them the entire time. Suddenly a flurry of needles flew down. Naruto stopped abruptly. Haku was standing in front of them. Zabuza-sama is asking for you, she said simply. Her eyes remained a block of ice. What's with the cold stare? She rolled her eyes and walked towards the hospital. You know, with this marriage contract, you'll have to at least look at me eventually, he screamed at her back. Not today though, she shuddered at the memory of Naruto flying into bathroom and slamming straight into her naked form. Maybe eventually, Naruto-kun. Fine, Naruto pouted. He dropped Sakura and Chaz after the dark-haired woman. Why is Abusa here anyways? He questioned her. I don't know, but he was hurt. Naruto misstepped at the simple statement. He's one of the strongest ninja I know. Kurenai, who had broken Guy's grip and caught up to the two, added, what could be strong enough to make him leave the mist? Tsunade had arrived first. She was running a diagnosis when the three entered the hospital room. No brows, what happened? Naruto gasped at the large scar running the length of his sword arm. He's amazing to be able to go from the mist village to Konoha with these injuries. Tsunade gasped. 4 broken ribs, his entire arm was filleted. And his kneecap is out of place, she said, snapping the kneecap back into its normal position. Care to explain? Zabuza nodded. He sent a glance at the blonde. It was a couple weeks after we got back from the Chunin exam when they came. Flashback. Zabuza and Mei walked through the streets. Have you found the rest of your swordsmen yet? Mei asked. She caught a couple civilians eyeing her and gave them a death glance and continued. No, all the students are good with the blade, but none are exceptional, Zabuza replied. None of the teams have any ninja that can handle the responsibility that comes with carrying one of these. He moved the carving knife slightly. So what do you suggest, Zabuza-san? Mei asked. We hold back on reinstituting the 7, he answered. We look at more than just the current group, we look at the next generation and find the 7 from there. By that time we'll both need to step down. Who do you think will lead the swordsman if you can longer take missions? Zabuza stopped and pointed at the young glasses-wearing swordsman swinging his chakra hammer. Chijiro will may turn towards the nearly exhausted boy. He's not ready, but by the time the next 7 are he will be. Mei nodded when they heard it. It sounded like an explosion coming from harbor. She turned and could see the tops of buildings that she didn't recognize. Let's go. She ran towards the buildings. It took her 3 minutes to reach the new buildings. Her ninja were already battling large mountains of muscle. They had fish-like appearances, and were easily overpowering her ninja. She could see one in particular seemed to be crushing her forces. He was wearing a bright yellow button-up t-shirt with a floral pattern. He had a long saw-like nose. He was swinging a large blade with teeth-like blades rather than a single blade. She did 3 hand signs and then crossed her arms. Instantly the large shark man was pinned by her arms sprouting from every surface. The man turned, his fangs glinted as the woman fired a large glob of lava. He gave a loud laugh, swinging his sword. She felt the bones in her hand crack when the man moved. Is it a little human? Everything calmed down when the man reached Mei. Who are you? She asked. She could feel her fingers healing. Come on. It doesn't matter. He swung his shark tooth blade straight up. Mizuki-sama Zabuza flew by her as the sword came down. The clang of sword echoed through the harbor. Zabuza could already feel his strength starting to fail. This is unreal, he thought. The shark man only had the tip of his blade on the carving knife. Hyon brought shark tooth down, slicing clean through the left shoulder, before bringing his foot up and Spartan kicking him in the ribs with a loud crack. You humans cannot match the power and the strength of a pure fisherman, he laughed. Stepping on Zabuza's kneecap, Zabuza cringed but wouldn't yell as the fisherman swung the blade over his head. Suddenly Chijiro appeared, his chakra hammer mid-swing. Hana made yell. The fisherman felt his body become pinned for the split second necessary for the hammer to smash into his body, sending him flying 100. Go get reinforcements from the leaf, Mei ordered. End of flashback. They caught her though shortly before we were able to sneak out of the village. Zabuza finished. She's waiting execution. Naruto clenched his jaw. We have to go and save her, Naruto exclaimed. Wait, how was Mei captured anyways? Zabuza sighed. She has been distracted ever since returning from Chunin exams. He sent Naruto a knowing glance, and I don't know, I guess they caught her off guard. Tsunade could see it in his eyes. We have to go. We'll beat these fish guys, and we'll save Mei-chan and Kurigakure, Naruto exclaimed. Tsunade shook her head. No, we can't. If these creatures were able to overpower Cage, then we don't have the manpower to retake the village. Naruto turned and yelled, I'm going to save her, I promise you that. No, Naruto, all you're going to do is get yourself killed, and I order you to stay in this village. Naruto and left the hospital room with a simple yes, Hokage-sama. Zabuza looked at Haku, and she nodded. I'll go check Chijiro-san. Zabuza sighed. Naruto's going to go, you know that, right? Yes, and I can't figure out why. I mean, he doesn't know Mei Terumi well, so why would he be so hell-bent on going after her? She suddenly gasped no. Zabuza nodded yes. During her time here, Naruto caught her eye. Zabuza rubbed his temple, and she did a glance equivalent to marrying Naruto on the spot. He continued, and I think we both know that brat well enough. Tsunade rubbed her temple. I'll go speak to him. Naruto was walking down the street kicking stones. He felt a hand grab his shoulder. Come to my office tonight, Tsunade said simply. The day passed quickly for Naruto, who had spent it packing and went to Ichiraku Ramen. When he walked into the office, a stapler was immediately flung at his head. You idiot, why do you have to be so? So Naruto, Tsunade screamed. I should just have you locked up for a couple months. Tears dripped onto her wooden desk. But that's not how I would become anything special to you. Naruto looked at the women behind the desk. Okay, you listen and listen well. Naruto nodded. I'm allowing you to lead your first squat. Naruto's jaw dropped. She walked around the desk and pulled him into a hug. He felt a strange sensation and was immediately in a room. I love you. I am giving you everything tonight, and you better come back to me, she said desperately, placing her lips on Naruto's. Okay, you know the drill. Skip if you want lemon. Naruto immediately could feel the desperation, the need, the love all in that simple kiss. And then instinct kicked in. He began kissing back with equal intensity. His own love for this woman searing through. Funny, how I can love them all this much. They're my world, he thought as his hands began to slowly push the royal blue pants she wore down his hand, rubbed her most sacred spot. She moaned softly into the kiss ears of not letting anyone close, she thought as the man pushed her, and the two fell onto the bed. Naruto stopped. He could see the fear in her eyes. Do you want me to stop? He croaked. Tsunade giggled like a little girl. No, it's just strange that's all. His fingers went back to their job. She squirmed all those years. And this boy, she looked at Naruto, slowly pulling her skin-tight blue panty down. No man, this man was able to break down every wall I ever put up. And put himself in my heart in a way that Dan couldn't. Even Naruto parted her blouse, revealing more of the pure white skin and valley of her breast. "You turn," she whispered, and faster than a blink the two spun until she was on top. Pulling open Naruto's bright orange vest. "Good thing I summoned Hancock before coming." He felt Tsunade run her finger over the scar that ran across his chest, before catching the shorts and dropping them. Naruto felt her drag her tiny hands over his manhood. Naruto spun until he was on top. Tsunade's blouse was thrown, leaving them naked. He placed his tip at her entrance. He felt the slight shudder she gave at the contact. "Are you sure, princess? If we go the rest of the way, there's no turning back. I won't ever forget this moment, but can pretend it never happened if you're not ready." "Shut up, idiot, I love you now, take me," Tsunade moaned when he speared her. She could feel pussy twitch at the manhood. Naruto was clearly in a lot of pleasure. He was looking at the globes in front of him. The two locked eyes. Tsunade shuddered at the pure love in Naruto's eyes. He began moving in and out. The faint sound of flesh hitting flesh rang through the Hokage's personal quarters. With each stroke, Tsunade gave a soft moan. The two lovers just bathed in each other's love, as Naruto continued for another 15 minutes. Naruto felt that Tsunade clamped down on him as his balls tightened. Naruto released himself into her. Naruto remained laying on top of her for 5 minutes before dropping to her right, his dick never leaving pussy. Tsunade clung to Naruto's sweaty form. "I love you, my Senjuji Tsunade, my princess," he mumbled. Tsunade smiled at the love seeping through her veins. "I love my Uzumaki D Naruto," she smiled mischievously. "But don't worry, I can share." She pulled Naruto out, and the two moaned slightly at the heavenly friction. She placed her head over Naruto's heart and closed her eyes. "Please come back to me," she whispered. She felt Naruto cling tightly onto hips. "Listen to me," he said, maturity in his voice. "I promise you this." He held her even more tightly. "I promise you that I won't die. I promise you that I will come back. And I promise I'll give you the family you're missing so dearly," he whispered into her ear. She shivered at the husky voice. "I love you and I'll never break. I promise to somebody I love, that's my Nindo." He ran his hands through blonde and pink hair. "I'll come back," he mumbled and fell asleep holding her in a protective way. End of Lemon. The next morning Naruto woke up looking at the village from the large window that ran across the room. He felt Tsunade wrap her right arm around him. "This is probably the best thing about being Hokage," she muttered, kissing Naruto. "Now tell me, love." She sat up, exposing her chest to the morning light. Naruto nearly pushed her back down, but quickly got control over himself. "Sakura Haruno Rock Lee and Shino Apurum," he replied, trying to ignore the beauty, so he could keep control over himself. "Hybrid squat," she muttered. Tsunade Sama Breako My Shizun was looking at the clearly naked duo. Her ears were bright red. "Tsunade Sama, what the," she muttered. Both were hiding themselves. Shizun rubbing her temple before saying simply, "Keep her heart safe, it's fragile, don't break," and walking away. "You know, sometimes I wonder who's the protecting you," Tsunade mumbled from underneath the blankets. Naruto climbed out of the bed. He could see the sad smile on her face. "I know your relationship with the Mizukage, which is why I won't try stopping you. But if you don't want me spitting on your grave every day till I die, you better come back." "Princess," she looked at Naruto at her newly acquired nickname. "I promise you I will come back. Don't let anyone steal you while I'm gone." Though Naruto gave a large grin and pulled on his shorts. "I mean it, because that's the last thing I want to hear when I come back. It would be as bad as hearing that Sensei-chan is marrying that creep Asuma." She laughed at the simple comment. "I'll come back, my love," he told her before jumping out the window. She heard a faint multi-shadow clone jutsu. "Go get the others, tell them our mission." Tsunade placed her hand over her heart and whispered, "I bet you'll die on the mission, Naruto." Half an hour later, 6 people were walking out of Konoha. "You sure you can do this, Snowbrows?" "Shut it," Naruto's abuser replied. "How about you 4 eyes?" Shijiro nodded. "Lee, Sakura, Shino," they all nodded. "Let's go save Kurigakure," he bellowed loudly. "Yeah." Sakura and Lee hollered. "I know you're a leader, Naruto, so please don't get us killed. Come on, Shino." Kuranayanko, Teiai, Haku and Hinata watched as Straw Hat Naruto left the village with a large grin. "You better come back," they muttered from their hiding spots. The group of Leaf and Mist Ninja sat in the shadows looking at the village. Unlike the Leaf, which was made up of a lot of wood, this village was a mound of stone buildings with thick cobblestone streets. A large river flowed through the center of the village. The streets looked like a large maze with the Mizukage Tower in the center. Zabuza pointed at the harbor where a large extension of green stone building was clearly built. A pitchback wall split the two villages apart. Even further back was a large spire of pitch black stone that resided in the center of the raging current of the sea. "That wasn't there when we left," Zabuza mumbled. Zabuza suddenly bounced up until he was standing on the very top of the tree. Naruto followed suit. When he reached the top of his tree, Zabuza was pointing. "See that large building in the center of the fisherman village?" "Yeah," Naruto replied. "That's where she was taken," Zabuza stated. "I think we should." "Mizu-chan, I'm coming," Naruto hollered, diving out of the tree. "Damn it," Zabuza cursed and chased after Naruto. Chijiro, Shino and Sakura followed suit. Naruto looked at the wall as he charged headfirst into the village. The pitch-black gate grew closer. Naruto could see a clear shark-shaped design in blood red. The gate guards laughed loudly as the boy got closer. Double cannon, he roared. The two watched Naruto fly by, his fists buried in their jaws. He jumped up the first wall and stopped. He could see the large stone building. Damn it, Naruto, we can't just rush and move yet. Sakura, Naruto snapped. Yeah, Naruto-kun. Naruto pointed at the top of the building. I think it's safe to assume that she will be placed hardest place to escape from. She nodded, knowing what he was thinking. My gum can reach up there, but I need to know if your ropes can reach the top. He finished. Why? She worried at the grin on his lips. We're going to send that building out. He tugged out a single tag, and the ninja knew immediately what he was thinking, with a bang. Sakura sighed loudly. What are you thinking, Naruto? You know, he jumped to the next building. I'm trusting you, Sakura, he called back and continued. Naruto and Zabuza reached the prison, and once again stopped. Everything on the street remained still. They know we're here. Why aren't they attempting to stop us? Zabuza muttered, looking at the hate-filled shark men on the street below. You know we're walking into a trap, right? Naruto grinned. Yeah, but that makes it more exciting. Naruto, are you just too stupid to realize that we're at a major disadvantage against these creatures, or do you just not fear death? Naruto laughed at him. Well, I can't die. Well, not yet anyways. His fist began shaking with anger. There's no way I'm going to let these shark men take my mate, my love, my precious person. He threw his arm with a loud twang. And with his free right arm he grabbed Shino, Zabuza Lee, and Chijiro grabbed his feet when he flew towards the prison, screaming gum multi-cannonball. The three men screamed like little girls, as Naruto laughed. And so it begins, Sakura thought. Watch the five fly. Naruto flew headfirst through the stone wall, hollering multi-shadow clone jutsu. The three fishermen in the room whipped around just in time to hear three gum binds ring out at exactly the same time. Zabuza sliced straight through the Naruto's clone, and into the man's stomach, as Chijiro swung his hammer crushing, leaving the third to Shino, who was holding his hand to the man's face. His bugs buzzed incessantly. The sharkman quivered slightly when Zabuza swung his sword up. Now tell me, where is mate Terumi? Naruto said calmly. She's not here. Our leader knew that you people would come. He tried to move, but the clone clenched, pinning him. Where was she moved, and who is the leader? Naruto interrogated. She was moved to Dead Man's Island, and our leader, his name is Arlong. Naruto's jaw dropped. Arlong? Really, Arlong? He punched the wall, shattering it like it was made of foam. His neck's boogied the clown. Naruto bellowed loudly. Zabuza ignored the outburst and continued. Is that Black Tower Dead Man's Island? The sharkman nodded his head wildly. Naruto stopped his ranting. What type of torture is done? He asked menacingly. Anything as long as it gets. Right? Naruto cut off. His chakra coils instantly filled with red. Yeah, if it's steamed neck, but the sharkman didn't get to finish his sentence. Naruto claw-like fist was crushed his skull. The clone did a similar job to his body. We have to get to that island. But it wasn't the voice of Naruto, it was guttural roar. Please help. The blood-red chakra faded as he heard the desperate raspy voice. Naruto turned and looked at the man in the top-level cell. He was wearing a similar kimono to the one Haku wore when they met. He had a black eye patch over his eyes. His skin was pale and he was clearly starved and dehydrated. Zabuza gasped and slammed his large blade into the lock, instantly snapping it. Did they touch Mei before she was moved? Naruto growled lowly. Zabuza, who is this kid? Ao coughed. Uzumaki D. Naruto. He's the one Mei-sama is always talking about. Yeah, how many people were captured, Ao? Not many. They gave up when Mei fell. Cowards, Naruto grumbled. Come on, no brows, let's go. We need to go get Mei-chan before she's killed or worse. Naruto ground his teeth and muttered. If they touched her in any way that only I'm allowed, I'll murder them all. Wait, Ao looked at the able-bodied ninja. Please help them. He pointed to lower floors. Naruto looked at the man. You all didn't give up on Mei-chan, right? Ao nodded. Naruto punched the air once and said with utter confidence, we'll be out of here in 15 minutes, and then we'll go get Mei-chan. Damn it, Naruto. Shino cursed and chased after the blonde bomb running down the stairs. Lee followed the two, screaming, I will make you proud, Guy-sensei. Is he the one? He pointed at a random spot, tracking Naruto path of destruction. Shino was leaving a couple bugs on each body. Zabuza confirmed with a slight nod. Why him? His jaw dropped when Naruto said what he guessed was Stamp, sending a decent-sized fisherman crashing through the floor. Zabuza, these are the weaker guards. When Mei was moved, Arlong took his elite squad, leaving the 4th string commander to watch this prison, he warned. Shino's fist clapped against the sharkman. He fell onto the ground. The sharkman fell beside him. Naruto back-flipped over a large sword. The sharkman gasped when Naruto buried his left foot in his gut, before snapping his left foot up, sending him flying back into the wall. Thanks, Lee. Naruto was breathing heavily. Zabuza can break the locks. Shino placed a bug on the man Lee just knocked out. Lee, let's go. Naruto pointed at the 5 fishermen in the stairwell, drawing their weapons. The 2 charged straight into the stairwell, screaming. 10 times Leaf Hurricane. The fishermen were blasted back down the stairwell. Shino followed slowly behind, continuing to place bugs on each of the downed fishermen. They walked into the long hallway inside. 15 fishermen looked at the 3. So what are the chances of you guys just leaving? Naruto was frowning. Because I really have something more important I have to be doing, he added, as the men began to walk menacingly forward. Well then, Naruto. charged straight at the group. Gum rapid fire. Naruto's fist flew towards Fishman. Lee ran beside Naruto yelling leaf wall. Lee and Naruto flew through the first two. With ease, Lee kicked off the wall and drove his foot across the third Fishman jaw, landing on Naruto's shoulder. Lee kicked off Naruto's shoulder and punched another across his jaw, and Naruto yelled spear. He leg sliced through the Sharkman pin. Naruto laughed loudly. Parasitic insects stormed. A black wall of buzzing bugs flew down the hall, finishing off the squirming Fishman. Shino. Naruto whipped around and grinned. That is so badass. When did you get so many bugs? Naruto asked. When you went looking for the Hokage, I spent my time developing my bugs, he replied in his usual monotone. Show some emotion. Naruto whined loudly. Let's go. Shino grabbed Naruto's shirt and dragged him along. Zabuza followed, cracking each lock with a simple get out as fast as possible. Halfway through the tower, Naruto, Lee and Shino continued like a half knife through butter. Until they reached the entrance of the prison, a single large Sharkman was sitting in front of the door. He had a large hammerhead-shaped head. His body was a light green. 3 kids. He laughed loudly in their face. 3 children defeated All Might. He looked straight down at the glowing pink fist buried his gut. The door to the prison flew open. The fishermen pointed at their ally lying on the path when they heard, "Get out of our way." The 2 guards whipped around. Naruto was walking out of the prison, his straw hat shadowing his face. A frown clear on his lips. Walking beside him was Shino and Lee. "Yes, we do not wish to hurt you," Lee told the 2 frightened guards. Suddenly a large group of ex-prisoners ran out of the jail screaming loudly. Zabuza and Chijiro smirked when the group easily scaled the walls of the prison and ran into the streets. "Come on, kid." "Yes, Sakura," Naruto hollered. The pink had landed by them. "Yeah." She fishermen stumbled back as the group walked towards them. "Do it," Naruto ordered calmly. A loud explosion filled the night air. The humans could see a large pillar of flames rise from the fisherman district. The group walked slowly down the street. The heat from the explosion could be felt on their backs. Deadman's Island. He swung his arm and bellowed, "I'm coming." Naruto looked across the wave, the pitch-black spire in the distance. He was grinding his teeth as the group ate beside him. "Hurry up." He could see the fisherman watching. He could see a thundercloud for spinning around the tower. "I wonder if my gum can reach it," he muttered. Sakura punched him in his shoulder. "Don't even think about it." She kneeled against him. "How are you planning to attack?" "Knock down the front door and kill or beat anybody who tries to stop me," Naruto replied, fingering the green jewel his neck band. Sakura touched it. "When did you get that?" she questioned. "Oh, this is the first was Hokage's. Tsunade gave it me after I mastered a very special jutsu," he explained. Sakura's fist flew away from the green jewel. "Let's go," Naruto whined loudly. Zabuza Chijiro nodded. "I think that it would be best to go in quiet. We blew up Arlong's prison safe. Bet he expects us," Naruto countered. Zabuza grabbed Naruto and throttled. "You idiot. Why? We didn't have to blow up that." He threw Naruto into the ground. "Fucking prison." He was sending a message to their leader, Sakura muttered. "A message?" Zabuza was storming back and forth. "Yeah, I wanted Arlong to know I'm coming," Naruto said calmly. "Why, we're ninja." Zabuza was struggling with an urge to murder Naruto. "I want him to know I won't stop until I get Mei back." Across the sea on the top level of the spire of black stone, in a dank cell, Mei sat meditating. Her guard nursing a large footprint from when he tried to do what necessary to get information out of her. She looked ablaze in the distance. She felt her lover's presence through the broken seal on her hand. "Naruto, please leave," she mumbled lowly. "Do you really wish that?" No. Mei turned around slowly. Standing inside her was a wrinkled old lady. Her once raven black hair was now gray. Long white streaks filled it also. She wore a deep purple cloak with its hood down. "Robin," she whispered. "I've been watching your, well, for lack of a better term, husband since he entered the village," she told Mei with a smile. "He certainly is something." "Mei, you picked correctly with that one. Why are you here?" "That boy hasn't given up." "Why have you?" Robin replied cryptically before her body started to fade out of existence. Mei closed her eyes and continued meditating. "I will be Hokage," she heard her blonde bomb screaming. "What's my dream?" she thought, feeling the chakra flow around him. "Can I have a dream?" Flashback. Mei was sitting in her office pounding through the mountain of paperwork. She yawned loudly. "Drowning yourself in paperwork?" Mei. Robin smiled knowingly at Mei. "I heard what happened." "Then you know I don't want to talk about," Mei said curtly. Robin laughed at Mei. "Times change, Mei. Do you think that maybe your clan should forget its ridiculous practice of poisoning their loves to test them?" Mei sighed. "Maybe. But all the women found their one love through that very test," Robin guessed. "Exactly, I was so sure," she whispered. Robin rubbed the woman's back calmly. "I have lived a long time. You are still young. One day you'll find someone that can survive your test, but it'll be more than that. He'll never give up on you even when you think he should. He'll never stop trying to protect. He'll flip the world if that's what's needed to protect you." Robin looked down, her dark brown eyes filled with life that seemed to have started fading over the recent years. "Most importantly, he'll love you. More than life itself. He would walk into hell to drag you back." Tears poured down Mei's cheeks. "Trust me on this, Mei." Then the flashback. "Let's go." Naruto screamed loudly. The bottom of his feet began glowing, and he ran into the sea. He's insane, there's no way with that storm he'll be able to get to the island. Chijiro pointed at the vortex of heavy rain that was pouring around the spire. Shino ran after Naruto, followed a split second later by Sakura and Lee. Lee dove into the water, literally torpedoed to Naruto in a blink of an eye. I shall beat you to the island, my eternal rival, Lee roared as he sped by Naruto. He's insane, Chijiro stuttered. Sometimes having no plan is the best plan you can have. Zabuza walked onto the water, he swung his sword onto his shoulder. Chijiro watched the blonde bound across the sea, he followed his fellow swordsman. The group charged across the sea, waves lapping at their feet. The rain whipped around them. Stay focused, Zabuza yelled over the howling of the wind. Naruto felt a large wave move up beneath him. I won't lose focus as Naruto jumped off the wave and landed with a mute in the storm splash. Naruto could feel the water begin to move up his legs. Striking rope bind, a thick brown rope bound tightly around Naruto's belly and forced him back onto the war. Stay up, Naruto. Sakura screamed loudly. Thanks, Sakura-chan. Naruto replied over the loud howl. Naruto looked at the island, waves were thrashing around him. He continued to push forward, Lee beside him continued pushing through the water. The group eyed the large black tower growing ever larger. May, Naruto gasped. I'm almost to you, he whispered lowly. May turned towards the water. Naruto, she whispered. You'll die if you come here, please leave me. She went rigid as 6 black shapes walked into view. No. The rescue team punched through the storm and walked into view of the large black spire. This is insane, Sakura gasped looking up. Large flames lit the landscape. Naruto stepped onto the black stone, his eyes never leaving the tower. Naruto-kun, what are we going to do? We attack if I may and kill the man who took her if we can. Suddenly they all heard a loud groan, 2 large black doors opened with a loudly. The 6 ninjas fell back as at least 200 fishermen began walking out. Naruto glared at the group. This is bad, Zabuza said, putting his carving knife in front of his body. Agreed, Shino added. Ai-sensei, lead me. Lee cried. Crap, Chijiro cursed quietly. Let this work, Sakura begged, closing her eyes. The fisherman began moving towards the small group of ninja. Let this work, she begged. Her fists were clenched tightly. Let this work, she was white-knuckled focus. Let this work, Sakura's head snapped up and screamed loudly. Get back. A shockwave ripped through the group of fishermen. I said get back. A second shockwave flew into the sharkmen. The 5 ninjas' jaws dropped as the group in front of them began falling like flies. Sakura grabbed her head and fell onto her knees. Sakura, what hell is that? I don't know, she was clawing at her head. Fuck, it feels like somebody's stabbing me in the head, she grumbled. My head. She closed her eyes once, before crashing into the ground. Sakura-chan. Naruto and Lee grabbed the fallen pinket. Sakura looked at the 2 go, I'll be fine in a minute. Naruto crossed his fingers and in a puff of smoke a single clone appeared. If anyone comes out, take Sakura back to the mainland, he told the clone quickly. Right boss, the clone sat down, Sakura on his shoulder blade. Come on guys, the group ran up the slope path leading to the jail. Just they entered the jail and looked around, the entire place was black with light orange fires cast shadows at odd angles. The group was about to move when they heard, so you're stupid enough to attack our ultimate prison. A large man with long blue hair walked out of the shadows, his elbows and knees were large jagged rocks. He was wearing a dark green t-shirt and dark blue shorts. He seemed to have the look of a whale shark. The man took a stance that Rock Lee raised an eyebrow at. Go, Naruto-kun. Lee took his own Taijutsu stance. I wish to pit my skills against the user of the legendary fisherman karate, he told the rest. Hurry, Naruto-kun, go save your precious person. Lee shot off yelling, I'll make you proud. Be careful, Lee, Naruto warned as the group ran by. Get back here, the fisherman screamed, running after the group as he did. He was stopped abruptly by a powerful axe kick to the head. I am your opponent, Lee smiled, his teeth magically glinted in the light. Rock Lee, the beast of Konoha. The man fell at the top of he cracked his knuckles and said, Fine then boy, you will be defeated by me, Hidi of the powerful Arlong bandits. He swung a punch at Lee, only for the green beast to block it with practiced ease. 100-tile shock punch. Lee suddenly flew away from Hidi. What was that? Lee gasped, struggling to his feet. Shockwave, his right hand trembled. This is truly a unique fighting style, Hidi laughed, until Lee disappeared from view. He felt Lee rush by him. Hidi turned only to see a flash of white light, when Lee slammed his kneecap into the center of his face. Lee was still in air with his left leg kicked him in the up chest, sending Lee into a backflip, throwing shuriken as he did. The man roared loudly, no more going easy on this kid. He pulled the star-shaped weapons out of his arms and ran at Lee. The group made it to the 3rd floor, leaving 15 fishermen in their wake. Impressive Straw Hat, the fisherman looked at the group. The prisoners were screaming for release. Naruto was about to walk forward when Chijiro grabbed his shoulder. This man was a strongly built man carrying a large axe. He had the features of an octopus. Go save our Mizukage, hold him off. The sword he carried blazed into his hammer form. He swung the hammer into the ground, sending a large shockwave at the 6-armed man. Be careful, Chijiro, Zabuza snapped as they ran by. Chijiro nodded at his mentor, the man who had taken him from an average swordsman to one of the few granted the power of the Swords of the Mist. Yeah, you too, Zabuza-sensei. He swung his hammer, stopping the octopus man from reaching the group of 3. You're not going to stop him. He watched Naruto turn the corner, followed by Shino and Zabuza save her Naruto. He pulled away from the axe, and spun barely missing with the spiked end of the hammer. The octopus swung the axe straight up. Chijiro backpedaled slightly, but was forced to defend when the man brought the large axe down. Chijiro was instantly lying on his back. His arms were shaking. The axe was half an inch away from his face. Once again the group continued their destructive path to the top of the tower. This is where you stop. A large great white sharkman looked at the three with malice in his eyes. He carried a large sword that looked very similar to Zabuza's own carving knife. Before Naruto could think of attack, Zabuza was already spinning into the air. Let's see how good your blade is. A loud clang echoed through the hole. Go kid! Now Naruto and Shino ran straight by the two Zabuza was pushing at the great white shark. The man pushed back, sending Zabuza sliding. He swung the sword high, bring the sword down on Zabuza, but the Jonin easily parried to the left and slashed at his body in one fluid movement. The shark just barely avoided getting bisected by Zabuza. Using the momentum of the failed swing, he jumped into the air and did a downward slash. Another loud clang echoed as the two locked blades. The man was holding his carving knife above his head. Zabuza had his eyes on the man. Gravity started taking effect on Zabuza, and he dropped until he was standing in front of the taller creature, their blades still locked on one another. The two teams were now on the second to last floor. That's when they met the largest fisherman they ever met. He was clear over 10 feet tall. His arms as thick as tree trunks, his head larger than an exercise ball, and he was slouching. Naruto laughed loudly. Let me guess, you're the smart one. The man ran at the two. Oh great, you ticked him off, Shino snapped. Naruto pointed at him and said loudly, finally some emotion. Shut up, Naruto. Shino snapped as he backflipped over Sweat. Go, I'll take care of Junior. Naruto nodded and ran beside the large man and into the stairs. He heard Shino holler, don't get killed. I don't want to tell Kurenai-sensei. Naruto ran up the dark stairwell into a well-lit circular room with a single cell door. Mei-chan, he bellowed. Mei's eyes went to the door at the loud voice Naruto, she gasped. He ran towards the door smiling broadly. He jumped up and kissed her through the bars furiously. Asa-chan, he mumbled. Did they touch you? He asked. A dangerous glint went into the usually bright blue eyes. No, she croaked. You have to run now. Now I'm here to rescue you, Naruto said, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. Please Naruto-kun, go. I'm begging you, Arlong, he'll kill you, she cried loudly. Go Naruto, I don't want to be saved, please run. They both heard a bang ring out behind Naruto. Straw Hat, Naruto, came a deep voice. How nice of you to finally show up. Naruto turned towards the man wearing a bright red Hawaiian shirt. A large shark-toothed blade as on his back. He had a large saw-like nose, and wild dark blue hair. Now tell me, Straw Hat, how long do you think you'll survive against me? His teeth were razor-sharp as the evil smile came to his lips. You knew I would come, how? Naruto took his stance as the man walked forward. Teach Arlong replied simply, and with a swish the blade crashed into the ground. Naruto had dodged the first slash, but not the kick chest, or the right hook that sent him into the wall. Arlong swung the blade straight at Naruto. The wall crumbled as the teen rolled in between Arlong's legs. Lee did a Superman punch across Hide's jaw. A loud clap echoed through the room, as the self-proclaimed green beast of Konoha did a diving roll to avoid being stamped by his larger opponent. He swung onto his head and yelled, reverse leaf hurricane. The sharkman felt his knees kicked out, and then he was sent flying towards the ceiling. He heard Lee reappear behind his back and yell Yuzu. He kicked the man until he was in T with Lee Maki. He dropped two bone-crushing axe kicks down. Lee grabbed man's shoulders and threw him down. Naruto Lee did two spin kicks. Lee landed standing on the man's belly. Sty he started trampling on the man's gut. He finished by grinding his feet and jumping into the backflip. The sharkman hacked loudly, blood dripping on the ground. He got to his feet, his eyes glowed dangerously. Lee raised his arm. The man rushed the Taijutsu user. Lee could feel the power behind each swipe meant to take his head off. Lee backhand springed when the man kicked at him. Suddenly the man went through forehand signs, water-style water bullet jutsu. Lee dodged to left, as 4 pillars of water rocketed around the room, slicing through the stone. The man smirked when Lee bounced into the wall. Lee was suddenly in front of him. He slammed his knee into the dark bruise that was forming. The man hacked loudly, blood sprayed out his mouth. The sharkman slammed his fist into Lee's face, then grabbed his head and threw him down the hole. He jumped up, Lee opened his eyes and barely rolled to the left, the man leg dropped at him. Lee spun on his hands and legs swept. But the sharkman saw it coming and dove over his legs, slamming his knee into Lee's face. Lee rolled down the hall and managed to get to his feet in time to block a powerful right hook. 100-tile shockwave. Lee stumbled back as his whole body quaked from the shockwave ripping through him. Leaf hurricane. He dizzily spun, kicked the sharkman away from. Lee fell onto his right knee and coughed up a bowl of blood. I can't take many more of those. The two looked at each other with some sort of mutual respect for each other's skills. They were very skilled, not very man. Humans would still be standing after 2 shockwaves, Hide growled. Lee grinned yes as you the two nodded and charged straight at one another. Hide swung a left hook at Lee's jaw, but the green beast dropped onto all fours and delivered a powerful upper kick straight into Hide's jaw. Lee reappeared behind him. He punched twice, forcing Hidi into a spin. Thful he stopped spinning and sent Hidi higher with 2 more upper kicks. Barrage Lee grabbed Hidi's feet and threw him into the ground, followed by an axe kick to the throat. Hidi hacked loudly as his vision went black. Lee lied on the ground, his legs still on Hidi's throat. He could feel the shaking on every muscle. He suddenly jumped up and yelled, "Sakura-chan, I'm coming." Chijiro. Chijiro swung powerful strikes at the axe user, but every time the man would just block as if he was nothing. Is it a Chijiro jumped back as the fisherman swung his axe. I thought the Mist Village was legendary for their swordsmen. Tsubusa and the Sharkman, now known as Right, moved back and forth down the hall, delivering killing swipes and powerful kicks. Tsubusa spun on his heel and kicked right away. Tsubusa could sense Chijiro struggling against his opponent. "I have to end this," he said loudly. "Oh yeah, and how are you planning to do that?" Tsubusa smiled sadistically. 7 points. A thick mist formed in the long hall. 7 points. The Sharkman looked frantically for the source of the voice. Jugular. The man hacked when blood poured from his throat. Spine. The Sharkman fell instantly when the large blade went through his spine. "Those are just 2. Tsubusa let the mist fall as he jogged towards the stairwell. Shino continued dodging around the hall. The large fisherman was growing more and more frustrated as he continued. Shino jumped into the air, avoiding a large swipe, saying, "You know, I'm not very good at close range fighting. I usually just suppress for Naruto, but I have one technique that, if done, will end any close range encounter." He continued dodging the left and right. Shino then did something very stupid. He stopped moving and tapped his cheek. "Come on!" The Sharkman raised both his high, and with the force of an explosion brought them down. Idiot! Shino looked from the stairwell as the figure began thrashing. "Bug clone," he told the shark. The Sharkman thrashed wildly as the bugs ate. "Worst part of being a bug user," Shino mumbled, turning his back on the thrashing man shark. Naruto continued avoiding swipe after swipe with the sword. Arlong grew more and more frustrated with the rubber boy. Arlong smirked and swung a low sweep with the sword, forcing Naruto to jump. Seeing his chance, Arlong swung a powerful punch. Naruto flew away from Arlong quickly. "He's strong," Naruto thought, as Arlong landed a powerful kick to the chest. Naruto rolled into the wall. He was about to get up when Arlong punched 3 times in the center of the face. Naruto felt Arlong grab his foot and send him flying across the room. Naruto picked himself up, only to drop onto his back. The large shark-toothed blade sliced into the stone. "Naruto!" Mei screamed. Arlong, with speed that rivaled Naruto's in gear seconds, slammed his foot into Naruto's gut. "Come on, Straw Hat, where's your legendary will of the deep?" He stepped on the center of Naruto's face. "Where is the fire that Monkey D. Luffy used to destroy my family? This is about revenge." Naruto pushed up on his leg. "Of course, everybody in the fisherman world knows how one man single-handedly destroyed our leader's name." He easily held Naruto pinned. "We hide because of Monkey D. Luffy, and since he's dead, I'll have to settle for you." He sent Naruto sliding into Mei's door. "Naruto, the window, go now!" she screamed at him. Naruto stood up slowly. "No, you think I'll ever give up on you? No way, not even if there's the slightest chance I can save you." Arlong laughed at the blonde and grabbed his face, and once again threw him. He smashed back first into the wall. Arlong swung his sword faster than Naruto could see, cleaving a large gash across Naruto's left shoulder down to his right hip. Naruto watched, Mei's eyes widen in fear as Arlong raised his leg and Spartan kicked Naruto. The stone wall crumbled. It was like everything moved in slow motion for Mei. She watched her lover fly out of the wall, blood flying out of his chest. His eyes never left her own. As he fell, Naruto made one last feeble attempt to reach her. Naruto. Mei screamed as the boy fell from view. "No," she cried loudly. "Not Naruto, please." She fell onto her knees and punched the ground repeatedly. "You idiot," she cried, hitting the ground. She grabbed at her head and screamed loudly. Tears continued to fall down her. "Naruto," she cried, feeling like every fiber of her heart shut down at once. Naruto plummeted, barely conscious. "Mate," he mumbled as he smashed into the ground. "Naruto." He heard Sakura and Lee faintly. His eyes never left the top of the tower. "What happened?" he heard Tsubusa say. White spots filled his vision. "Chijiro, shy." The world was growing darker. It was almost black now. Open. Everything went black as the blonde lost consciousness. Well guys, that is it for now. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want. I guess anyway, see you later.